25. So thank you so much. And from here, we'll move to the third part of our virtual dialogue, which is the fireside chat on women's role in environment sustainability. And for that, we have Dr. Pooja Chopra and Ms. Supriya Salaria with us. So let me now introduce Dr. Pooja Chopra first, and then I'll introduce Ms. Supriya Salaria. So Dr. Pooja Chopra is founder director of Orlina Ventures Private Limited, Chandigarh. She is Masters in Environment Management from Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Studies in 2015. PhD in Management with focus on development and promotion of ecotourism and protection of environment, MBA Marketing, having 19 years of rich experience, including 8 years in teaching and research. Dr. Pooja is an environment conservation, social development, ecotourism, and services marketing specialist associated with government and private organizations, an expert in conceptualizing, designing, and fabricating interpretation centers. She has a corporate experience in brand promotion, marketing research, business development, and strategic marketing. So we welcome you, Dr. Pooja, to this virtual dialogue on women empowerment and social cohesion.
Thank you.
And now I'll introduce Ms. Supriya Salaria. Ms. Supriya Salaria is Manager Life Sciences of Significant LLP, leading a 20+ person global team responsible for promoting environmental sustainability through efficient resource use and product development, amongst others. She holds a master's degree in biotechnology from Punjab University, Chandigarh, and is well versed at ensuring communication and sustainability are aligned with business objectives. She has an experience of more than 8 years in the IP field. She has undertaken many challenging projects related to life sciences and pharmaceuticals. She is proficient in handling patent-related services, including technology scouting, competitive intelligence, white space analysis, and patent portfolio. She is sustainability expert in plastics, polymers, food and cosmetics innovations, and has worked with Fortune 100 companies at Significent. We welcome you, Ms. Supriya Salaria, to this virtual dialogue.
So on behalf of Significent, I would like to thank APSWDP and Vicky for organizing this event and giving me an honor to come here as a speaker among all the elite speakers today. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much, Supriya. And we'll start with the fireside chat. And my first question would be for Dr. Pooja Chopra. Dr. Pooja Chopra, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, so the first question that we want to know from you is, we would like you to share your professional journey of empowering women and community through ecotourism.
Thank you very much, Hitesh, for the question. The journey started, per se, 14 years back from now, somewhere in 2007, when I heard a talk on ecotourism by the then nodal officer of Punjab Forest. I introduced myself to him and I told him that I'm pursuing my PhD in ecotourism, which is supposed to be the first of the country as on date. So,
Dr. Pooja, can you be a bit louder?
Sure. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So he went through my synopsis and he suggested me, why is your thesis only on ecotourism? Why have you not added the word community here yet? So I told him community empowerment is a part of ecotourism, one of the 4-5 elements of it. He said, let it be there, but the title has to be community-based ecotourism. That was the instance I actually understood what was the significance of adding community word to ecotourism. Because what happened that time, Hitesh, was we were working on 5 to 7 villages very close to Chandigarh. And when we introduced the concept of ecotourism there, we realized that the community was not very willing. They actually felt that people are there to take away their land, take away their agriculture and things. So that's when we understood that the role of community would be most important here, to make them first comfortable that this is for their own growth, their own development. and nobody is here to take away things from them. And second was the forest or these other groups, they work through self-help groups. So what happens, self-help groups, these are all mostly women groups, and they take care of the activities, all the development activities of the village through the panchayat. So it gave us a double role of empowering those women through ecotourism and bringing the whole community together for their own upliftment. So this is how the journey began.
So thank you so much, Dr. Pooja. I think you have started with a very good way of empowering those self-help groups. And mostly, as we all also know, that self-help groups, it's mostly composed of women who are basically running those particular groups. So thank you so much. And my next question to Ms. Supriya Salaria. So Ms. Supriya Salaria, you have been working in sustainability innovations. So what all areas you have covered till now?
Thank you, sir, for the question.
Supriya, unmute please. Yeah. Yeah, you are unmute now.
Yes. So thank you, sir, for the question. As it says that experience is the best teacher. So I and my team at Signicent have been working for the sustainability and related innovations from last many years. And we have covered many areas for the big players of the industry. But of course, I cannot name those clients because of the confidentiality agreement. But I can list down some of the areas that we have worked together. We have worked for beauty, skincare industry, the hair care industry, pharmaceuticals, beverages, food industry, the construction and the polymer materials. So one of my favorite example that I would like to cite here is related to the challenge that we have encountered few months back as I was working with my team over a construction challenge where we got a problem that need to be solved with the plastics, that day-to-day plastic that we deal with, be it a plastic bag, be it a plastic bottle. So there we need to replace the sand content in a concrete mixture with the plastic. So what we found to our surprise, that even if we replace 10% of our sand with the plastic, we can save up to 800 millions of sand in a year. So each and every small step can lead to the bigger change and a bigger picture. So all these areas are covered by my team at Signicent.
Thank you so much, Supriya. And my next question to Dr. Pooja again. I'm moving a bit fast, keeping in mind the time constraint, because I want to give myself also that particular, you can say, reminder that we should finish on time, start on time and finish on time.
Sure.
So that's why I have made my answers very short and crisp at this point of time.
Thank you so much for
we'll try to keep
both
our
the
answers.
speakers.
We'll try to keep our answers brief, and in case anybody needs any further clarification details, we are available for the next round of questions.
And to all the participants who are writing in the chat box also, the feedback link would be shared once we complete the third part of the program, right? So I repeat, the feedback link would be shared once we complete the third part of the program and once we go to the last part, which is the concluding session. And don't leave in between, because we have another interesting feature in the last section, which is speed networking, right? So over to you, Dr. Pooja, for the next question. Second question. So what were the challenges, Dr. Pooja, you faced, and how you resolved those particular challenges?
So when we got in touch with these communities, the first challenge I already shared was there was a fear in them of people coming there to take away their things. So this was the first. Second was, though these self-help groups comprised of women, these groups were not active. So we had to first understand why are they not active, because without them we couldn't enter those villages or really couldn't do any developmental works. So what we realized, we sat with these women and we realized that they are not encouraged to be participative in these activities by their families. So both the husbands and the mother-in-laws were not very keen that their daughter-in-laws go ahead with works. So this became a very, very big task for us, and it got solved by taking into confidence the sarpanch, the panchayats. We sat with them, then we asked the husbands and the mother-in-laws first to come and spend time with us. We explained them the importance of the role that these self-help groups would be playing and what drastic changes would be bringing even to their family levels, not just for the purpose of ecotourism. The third challenge was to actually bring these women now out of their houses, because they always carried that fear back in their mind that by the time they go back to their houses in the evening, either they will be having lesser time for the household activities or they'll be facing the threat of the mother-in-laws. So we started training them. Capacity building was a very important part of this activity. Capacity building and exposure visits. We carried those visits, we made them understand. We took most of the women as trainers to these villages, so the families and people are very, very comfortable. And we actually, whatever products we got made by these women, we actually sold them in the market and gave them back all the proceeds. So when these daughter-in-laws carried some amount of money back to their families at the end of every month or every week, their status got elevated. So both personally and professionally, they were benefited, and it helped us overcome the challenge.
Thank you. So you mean to say there was a regular capacity building and sensitization programs that you were doing in order to sensitize their family members?
Every day. First 6 months we had to spend with the family, and then we could actually get the entry inside the village.
Right. So that means you have to full of energy if you want to infuse that energy in their family.
Not just you, I carried my mother, my grandmother, all my female friends, so that the whole team shows up there.
Right. So thank you so much, and over to Ms. Supriya for the second question now. So Supriya, what role does sustainability play in the areas of beauty industry, water treatment, packaging, and bottles industry?
Inevitably, our decisions and actions have all the impact on the environment, our economy, and the society. So this shows the need and importance to anticipate the consequences of our actions to maximize the positive effects. So if I talk about the beauty industry, I'll take an example of the perfume industry. Recently, we have identified that in Tamil Nadu coastal areas, there are seaweeds, especially in the Gulf of Mannar. So this is a sustainable approach. Like seaweeds are rich in chlorinated compounds, and that can be used as an absolute material to make a perfume at a very natural level or at a very authentic level. So this is the one of the approach that can be considered if I talk about the beauty and the cosmetic industry. Moving towards the water treatment, we need to take care about the filter material that are being used in the treatment, be that filter material be from the activated charcoal, the carbon material, or from any rock, because the natural method to purify a water would be a diatomaceous earth, that is a sedimentary rock, and it is easily available all over the Asian geographies. So that shows that how that particular problem can be addressed through the sustainable solution, and it can help in easing out the gallons of water related to the purification. And moving to the packaging and the bottle industry, so we have covered various aspects of sustainability. If we talk about the packaging related to the pharma packaging itself, there we identified that natural inks, natural glues can be used, and again the recyclable material can be considered. So there we identified few of biopolymers like PHAs, polylactides for bottle itself, because major players from beauty industry, from beverage industry are into way of developing such sustainable solutions. So there was a conference in France, I guess in 2015, International Conference on Climate Change, that shows the importance of sustainability goals to be achieved by 2050. And you won't believe that maximum companies that are giant players have already achieved 70% of the efforts by 2025 itself. So that's a really a positive impact over the economy. Yeah.
So Supriya, thank you very much for sharing very interesting case studies. And Dr. Pooja, I'll take a permission from you. Straight away, I'll go to third question to Ms. Supriya based on the facts that she has shared. And then I'll come to you, Dr. Pooja. I hope I can go for that.
Perfect.
Permission granted?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So I hope all of you will agree with this, that the range of green material is widening. So Supriya, my question is, what are the main challenges regarding the sustainability?
Yes, of course. This is a very personal and very favorite question to me because if I talk about the cosmetics and personal care, green materials are everywhere. But the challenges that are associated with green material is the availability, right? Availability of that green material might depend upon the climate, the geography, and accordingly if we isolate and use that green material, we need manufacturing assembly, we need organic processes that will again add up the cost. And fourth thing that is the bit challenging for all of us, that new products that are launching in the market, I have myself considered Mamaearth, the Lotus, Baitik, they have all generations in natural beauty products. But if we talk about the shelf life of the products, the trust issue with the customer side, these all challenges need to be addressed, because here we need to develop an interest regarding the green material, because of course that will leads to the removal of chemical and synthetic agents from our day-to-day usage items and all. So according to me, these are the things that are a bit challenging for anyone who are going to invest in the green material for personal care and cosmetics.
So thank you so much, Supriya. And I think with your answer on this particular question, we need to have a special technical session with you and Dr. Pooja to know more about your experiences and case studies in these industry, which will ultimately help in building sustainable solutions.
Sure,
Right?
sir. Anytime.
And
Anytime, sir.
yeah. Thank you so much, Supriya. And now I'll go to Dr. Pooja. And Dr. Pooja, can I ask you the third question now?
Yes, please.
Okay. So my question to you is, we would like to know about the initiatives taken by you for women empowerment on personal level in conjunction with environment conservation.
On a personal level, there have been many initiatives, but I'll considering the time constraint, I'll just focus on two very key measures, which are also our recent ones. I realized probably the previous year's lockdown gave me the inspiration for this. We realized that a lot of material that we are sending to the landfills needs to be taken care of by us as a family. And I believe women play a very, very significant role there. So what we tried was, we gathered some household waste, we gathered some auto parts waste, we gathered fabrics from temples and all religious places that people offer to the idols. We created samples of decorative items and reusable items of our daily needs. And we took these samples to the women in the nearby villages, because they are mostly very well adapted with the stitching, tailoring, and embroidery activities. So we carried these materials there, and we trained them through those samples. We scaled it up, and we tried to market these products for them. The response was really very, very amazing, and the women realized how reducing this wastage and reducing the wastage to the landfill even gave them a economic benefit. And second, we are all, every year what we have started doing is, now we planted 500, we started with 550 tree plantations in 2019, involving the women of that village wherever we are doing this activity. Of course, the men did the pit digging and laborious jobs, but women supported us, and they are now responsible to take care of those plants on a weekly, daily basis. So every year we add up to this number, and this year we are planning to cross 600 tree plantations, making women as the core.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. We have seen you closely working with many state government projects on setting up those eco parks. Correct me if I stated the right term, eco parks. Is
Yes.
this right?
Eco parks and eco awareness creation centers.
Right. So we have seen you closely, but those were pictures. But this time we have listened to you also, how you have, what kind of experiences you have.
Just a small mention,
regarding
even when we create these interpretation centers and eco parks, and when we work in the forest areas, our key supporting members are always women of the community living near that forest areas.
Right. So thank you so much, Dr. Pooja. And keeping in mind the time part, it's 4:35 on already, and we'll come up with the last question for both the speakers. And the last question for both the speakers is: will the COVID-19 pandemic increase the importance of environment sustainability, environmental protection, and sustainable development? So I leave it to both of you to decide who want to answer first.
Supriya, please go ahead.
Dr. Peach, please go ahead, please.
All right. I think the obvious answer is yes for everyone who is sitting here. There is no option for the no answer to be there. We have already seen the damage it has caused, the losses we have incurred on personal and professional levels, the close people we have lost. So it definitely has triggered and shaken us up and told us that it is high time now. We wish to move forward, and each of us have a role to play here, without thinking that we are at a micro level or we're just too tiny to contribute anything. I think Father's Day today, we must actually remember Mahatma Gandhiji's words saying that be the change you wish to see in the world. So if we really wish to see it a pandemic free and environmentally healthy world for all of us, we need to get going now. And that sensibility, I believe, has come in, and we must, I think, remember that each of us causes a ripple effect. So if I may be a very small part in it, but my efforts will lead that ripple effect and will at least cover a few hundred people under this umbrella.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja. And over to you, Supriya, and then we'll conclude with this third part of the program.
So recently, I have been going through the Ease of Living Index 2020. So I saw there that Delhi ranks 6th on the list behind Bengaluru, Chennai. So what all parameters that were considered for this Ease of Living Index was the quality of life, economic ability, and sustainability. So if I talk about the sustainability issues, the development which is going on is not that much sustainable. That is the key point and the key learning for all of us that needs to be taken care. So of course, in this pandemic time, in this lockdown time, we reduced the greenhouse gas emissions, lot of noise pollution reduced, the air quality got improved. But there are still many factors that need to be considered for a sustainable life, for a sustainable development, and for a sustainable economy. We should actually promote such events, like we can start helping the local vendors, we can start moving towards the eco-friendly transportation mode, we can help in energy reduction at our end. So these are the few small steps that can be considered as far as I can see.
Thank you so much, Supriya. These small steps, the experiences and the case studies that you both have shared, I think this will go a long way in setting up the right, you can say, path for women's role in environmental sustainability. This was one of the areas that we have spoken about. But when we talk about women empowerment, all of you also know, being women, that this is not the only area where we have to work. But it was good listening to the way you both have handled those things and the way you are empowering other women also, which is ultimately leading to